Paula Hawkins burst onto the literary scene with her debut thriller, The Girl on the Train. This gripping novel takes readers on a suspenseful journey through the minds of its unreliable narrators, masterfully blurring the lines between reality and perception. Hawkins weaves a tale of obsession, voyeurism, and the fragility of memory, leaving readers captivated until the very last page. The story unfolds through the perspectives of three women, Rachel, Anna, and Megan, whose lives become entangled in a web of secrets, lies, and ultimately murder. Rachel Watson, the titular girl on the train, is a deeply troubled woman struggling to cope with the aftermath of a painful divorce. Her life has been turned upside down, and she finds herself grappling with the emotional wreckage left behind. The once vibrant and hopeful Rachel is now a shadow of her former self, haunted by memories of a happier time. Her days are a blur of alcohol and regret as she tries to numb the pain with drink after drink. The bottles pile up, a testament to her inability to escape the clutches of her addiction. Each sip is a temporary reprieve, but the relief is fleeting, and the despair always returns with a vengeance. Every day, Rachel takes the same train journey, clinging to the routine as a semblance of normalcy in her otherwise chaotic life. The rhythmic motion of the train and the familiar sights along the route provide a small measure of comfort. It's a brief escape from the turmoil that rages within her, a momentary illusion of stability. However, her commute becomes an unhealthy obsession as she finds herself fixated on the seemingly perfect lives of a couple she observes from her window. She watches them with a mix of envy and longing, imagining the happiness they must share. In her mind, they become the embodiment of everything she has lost, a painful reminder of the life she once had. Rachel's days are consumed by thoughts of her ex-husband Tom and his new wife Anna, who now live in their former home. The house that was once filled with love and laughter is now a symbol of her failure and heartbreak. She tortures herself with memories of the past, unable to move on from the life she once knew. The pain of their separation, coupled with her alcoholism, has left her feeling lost and alone. She is trapped in a cycle of despair, unable to break free from the grip of her addiction and the weight of her sorrow. Her once bright future now seems like a distant dream, replaced by a bleak and uncertain reality. Desperately seeking solace in the fabricated lives she has constructed for the strangers she watches from afar, Rachel's imagination becomes her refuge. She creates elaborate stories about the people she sees, weaving intricate narratives that provide a temporary escape from her own misery. But these fantasies are just that, fantasies. They offer no real comfort, and the emptiness inside her remains. Rachel's journey is one of profound sadness and longing. She is a woman adrift, searching for meaning in a world that seems to have abandoned her. Her story is a poignant reminder of the fragility of the human spirit and the devastating impact of loss and addiction. As she stares out of the train window, lost in her thoughts, we are left to wonder if she will ever find her way back to herself, or if she will remain forever trapped in a cycle of despair. From her vantage point on the train, Rachel becomes intimately acquainted with the couple she has named Jess and Jason. Every day, as the train slows down at the same spot, she gets a glimpse into their world. It's a world that seems so perfect, so different from her own. She watches them in their backyard, sharing moments of joy and tenderness. To Rachel, they represent everything she has lost and everything she yearns for. Their seemingly idyllic life, filled with laughter, love, and a carefree existence, becomes a source of both comfort and envy for Rachel. She imagines their conversations, the way they must talk to each other with such ease and affection. She pictures them planning their future, dreaming together, and supporting each other through life's challenges. In her mind, Jess and Jason are the perfect couple, living the perfect life. She creates elaborate fantasies about their lives, imagining them to be the epitome of happiness, a stark contrast to her own shattered world. Rachel's own life is a mess, filled with regret and sorrow. Watching Jess and Jason gives her a temporary escape, a way to forget her own troubles. She dreams about what it would be like to be in their shoes, to have a partner who loves her unconditionally, to live in a beautiful home, and to feel content and secure. Rachel's fascination with Jess and Jason borders on obsession. She can't help but think about them constantly. Every detail she observes becomes a piece of the puzzle she is trying to put together. She wonders about their past, how they met, and what their secrets might be. Her thoughts are consumed by their lives, and she finds herself eagerly anticipating the moments when she can catch a glimpse of them again. She meticulously observes their every move, gleaning details about their daily routines, their interactions with each other, and their seemingly perfect life together. Rachel becomes an expert in their habits. She knows when they leave for work, when they return, and how they spend their weekends. She notices the little things, like the way Jess touches Jason's arm when she laughs, or the way Jason looks at Jess with adoration. These observations become a part of her daily ritual, something she looks forward to and relies on. Their existence becomes a lifeline for Rachel, a distraction from her own pain and a source of vicarious pleasure. In a way, watching Jess and Jason gives her hope. It reminds her that happiness is possible, even if it feels out of reach for her at the moment. She clings to the idea that one day she might find her own version of their perfect life. Until then, she finds solace in their happiness, using it as a beacon to guide her through her darkest days. One evening, after a particularly heavy night of drinking, Rachel found herself in a familiar state of inebriation. The bar was dimly lit, the air thick with the scent of alcohol and the murmur of conversations blending into a dull roar. She clutched her glass, the liquid inside sloshing slightly as she swayed on her stool. The night outside was cold, and as she stumbled out of the bar, the chill hit her, making her shiver. Her vision blurred and the world around her seemed to spin. Rachel boarded her usual train, seeking the comfort of her routine. She pressed her forehead against the cool glass of the window, watching the city lights blur into streaks of color. Suddenly, something caught her eye. From her usual spot on the train, she witnessed something shocking. Her heart raced and she felt a jolt of adrenaline. The scene outside the window was fleeting, but it left a lasting impression on her foggy mind. The event, though significant, becomes shrouded in a haze of alcohol-induced amnesia. Rachel's mind struggled to grasp the details, the memory slipping through her fingers like sand. She felt a pounding headache, the aftermath of her drinking, and the confusion that came with it. The cityscape outside the train window blurred, mirroring her muddled thoughts. She held her head, trying to piece together what she had seen, but the alcohol clouded her recollection, leaving Rachel with fragmented memories and a sense of dread. She sat on her bed, her mind racing with disjointed images and a growing sense of unease. The fragments of her memory were like pieces of broken glass, sharp and painful to touch. She stared at them, trying to make sense of the chaos in her mind. The feeling of dread gnawed at her, a constant reminder that something terrible had happened. She struggles to piece together the events of that night. Rachel spent hours looking at photographs, hoping to trigger a memory. She wrote in her journal, the pages filled with scribbles and crossed out lines. The frustration of not being able to remember gnawed at her. She felt like she was chasing shadows, the truth always just out of reach. The more she tried to remember, the more elusive the memories became. Her recollection clouded by blackouts and the lingering effects of her addiction. Rachel's struggle was compounded by the blackouts she experienced. The gaps in her memory were like dark voids, impossible to fill. She looked out of the window, the bottle beside her a constant reminder of her addiction. The despair she felt was overwhelming, a heavy weight on her shoulders. She knew she had to remember, but the alcohol had taken its toll on her mind. The following day, news breaks that a woman named Megan Hipwell has gone missing. Rachel's heart sank as she watched the news report. The name Megan Hipwell echoed in her mind, a name she knew all too well. The news anchor's voice was a distant hum, the words missing and disappearance standing out like beacons. The realization hit her like a punch to the gut. Rachel, realizing that Megan is the real name of the woman she calls Jess, felt a chill run down her spine. She held a picture of Megan, her hands trembling. The woman she had seen from the train, the woman she had called Jess, was Megan. The shock of this revelation left her reeling. She looked at photos on her phone, her mind racing with questions. How could she have not known? What had she seen that night? Rachel becomes convinced that she holds the key to the mystery. Determination replaced her initial shock. She knew she had to find out what happened to Megan. She held her diary, the pages filled with her thoughts and observations. She looked at the clues she had gathered, her mind working to piece them together. The sense of purpose gave her strength, a resolve to uncover the truth. However, her inability to remember the events of the night in question leaves her doubting her own sanity, and questioning her role in Megan's disappearance. Rachel looked into the mirror, her reflection a reminder of her fractured state. She sat on the floor, surrounded by scattered photos, feeling lost. The doubt crept in, whispering that she might never remember. The fear that she might have played a role in Megan's disappearance haunted her. She questioned her sanity, the line between reality and her alcohol-fueled delusions blurring. The night of the disappearance remained a dark, impenetrable mystery, one that Rachel was determined to solve, no matter the cost.